Hello, this is Krystal and thank you for joining me for this week's First Chapter Friday. Today I will be concluding our Brandon Sanderson series with Warbreaker. Prologue. It's funny, Vasher thought. How many things begin with my getting thrown into prison? The guards laughed to one another, slamming the cell door shut with a clang. Vasher stood and dusted himself off, rolling his shoulder and wincing. While the bottom half of his cell door was solid wood, the top half was barred, and he could see the three guards open his large duffel and rifle through his possessions. One of them noticed him watching. The guard was an oversized beast of a man, with a shaved head and a dirty uniform that barely retained the bright yellow and blue coloring of the Tulair City Guard. Bright colors, Vasher thought. I'll have to get used to those again. In any other nation, the vibrant blues and yellows would have been ridiculous on soldiers. This, however, was Hallington, land of returned gods, lifeless servants, biochromatic research, and, of course, color. The large guard sauntered up to the cell door, leaving his friends to amuse themselves with Vasher's belongings. They say you're pretty tough, the man said, sizing up Vasher. Vasher did not respond. The bartender says you beat down some 20 men in the brawl. The guard rubbed his chin. You don't look that tough to me. Either way, you should have known better than to strike a priest. The others, they'll spend a night locked up. You, though, you'll hang. Colorless fool. Vasher turned away. His cell was functional, if unoriginal. A thin slit at the top of one wall let in light. The stone walls dripped with water and moss, and a pile of dirty straw decomposed in the corner. You ignoring me? The guard asked, stepping closer to the door. The colors of his uniform brightened, as if he'd stepped into a stronger light. The change was slight. Vasher didn't have much breath remaining, and so his aura didn't do much to the colors around him. The guard didn't notice the change in color, just as he hadn't noticed back in the bar when he and his buddies had picked Vasher up off the floor and thrown him in their cart. Of course, the change was so slight to the unaided eye that it would have been nearly impossible to pick out. Here now, said one of the men, looking through Vasher's duffel. What's this? Vasher had always found it interesting that the men who watched dungeons tended to be as bad as, or worse than, the men they guarded. Perhaps that was deliberate. Society didn't seem to care if such men were outside the cells or in them, as long as they were kept away from more honest men, assuming that such a thing existed. From Vasher's bag, a guard pulled free a long object wrapped in white linen. The man whistled as he unwrapped the cloth, revealing, and if you would like to know what happens next, you can check this book out on the Libby app. Please join me here in 2 weeks as I read from Daphne du Maurier's Rebecca, which will kick off our Henry County Reads Month, and which we have programming focused around the Henry County Reads selection, Rebecca. Thank you and have a great week.